struggling with respect to your portfolio and put your answers in the chat. We would also love for you to come on camera if you guys are comfortable with it, and we'll get started shortly.
Y'all can also come off mute and like let us know if y'all are comfortable with that. Maybe we can start.
So welcome everyone again, and I hope you guys have been having a good semester so far. We're very excited to be having everyone here with us today. And before we start, let me start off with a round of introductions of our team. My name is Ibe. I'm studying in undergraduate school, majoring in comprehensive design and interactive multimedia, as well as minoring in marketing. And there are also two other members on our team. Unfortunately, one of them won't be able to join today. His name is Nasir, but our team leader is here today. So over to you, Sejal.
Hello, everyone. So my name is Sejal, and I'm the web design lead intern for the web design team at the center. And I'm a first year graduate student at Luddy studying human computer interaction design. And as a part of the center, our mission is to empower women to be leaders in technical fields and to fully leverage technology to attain academic and professional excellence. Our teams hold a variety of events and workshops and everything design and technology related. So you're welcome to join our community by signing up for our mailing list. We also have a Facebook group and an Instagram handle where you can stay updated about our newest events, and all the links to these groups will be in the chat box. So yeah, without further ado, I think we can start. And since Parumeta has been a part of CWIT and was the lead intern last year, I think I'm going to directly hand it over to her and like let her introduce herself. So over to you, Parumeta.
Okay, thanks, Sejal. And yeah, it's really nice and nostalgic to be back here. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here today and spending this evening with us. My name is Parumeta. As Sejal said, I was the lead intern last year, and I'm also an alumni from the Human Computer Interaction program at IU. I graduated this year, and I am currently working as a product designer with Victoria's Secret and Co. And I'm really excited to share some of my experiences designing and iterating on my portfolio. And I hope this session is helpful to you all. I'll go ahead and share my screen and we can get started. Okay. Hope everyone can see my screen. Okay. Great. So yeah, a little bit of a spooky theme in honor of Halloween, I guess. Before I start, just a little disclaimer. As I said, I am not a recruiter. I'm a product designer. And what I would be talking about today is based on my personal experience of designing and iterating on my portfolio and interacting and attending different events, including recruiter events, and getting feedback from my design mentors who are a little bit more experienced, and by consuming a bit too much content about portfolio designs. So today's agenda, I've divided into 5 main sections. First, we'll cover the basics of UX portfolios for anybody who's really, really new. I'll cover very briefly what are UX design portfolios and why they're needed. The second thing we'll cover is following kind of a design process and understanding our users of the portfolio. The third thing would be covering fundamentals and basic structure and the things that you should keep in mind while designing your portfolio. And the fourth step would be a live review of two of your portfolios that you submitted. And finally, we'll go into Q&A. In case you have any questions while I'm talking through these things, feel free to put your questions in the chat or come off mute. And without further ado, let's start with the basics. So I'll cover this very briefly, the what's and the whys. What is a UX design portfolio and why they need it? So I guess most of you must be aware that they are a crucial part of your job application process and material, and they are primarily used to show your projects and your work experience and show your design process. But I think it is a little bit more than that as well. I believe that UX design portfolios are a representation of your brand as a designer, and it can communicates who you are both as a person and as a designer. And of course, it helps recruiters understand your area of expertise and the experience that you have so far through case studies. The hows, I guess a lot of you might be familiar, but I'll cover very quickly. A lot of website builders and tools are available that you can use to create your website and host your website on, including Webflow, Wix, and Squarespace. Webflow recently also became free for students, which is really nice. These website builders also offer templates that you can build off of. They also offer content management system, which makes it a little bit easier to host your case studies and put it all on the CMS. Some people also prefer designing their portfolio from scratch in Figma and then putting it onto one of these tools, and some really daring ones try and design and code from scratch. Really hats off to them. But yeah, that's pretty much about the tools. I won't go much into it, simply because we'll be covering the other aspects of designing your portfolio. So second part is using your design process. So I guess this is something that I have heard a lot while I was working on my portfolio, where hiring managers, recruiters, and other design leaders kind of talk about how you can use a design process and create your portfolio. And it was always very ambiguous for me because I couldn't really relate how exactly to do that. So after some practice, I've kind of put together some main things you can do to like follow a UX design process for your portfolio and understand the users. So I'll start off with this question. Who do you think is the target audience or the readers of your portfolio? I can't really see everybody, I guess, but you can, Sejal, I guess you can help me figure out who is saying what, and you can put your answers in the chat.
If any of y'all want to come off mute, y'all are more than welcome to do that as well. But yeah, we have Yating saying senior designers and companies. Sonal Jaiswal says designers. Yeah, recruiters, designers. Hiring managers, maybe?
Yes. Yeah, so most of
Anybody?
your,
Yeah, sorry. I was just asking if anybody else wants to
yeah,
answer.
yeah, I'll wait.
Yeah, hiring managers. I think, yeah, should we put hiring
Okay.
managers? Okay.
So that sounds about right. The main target users and readers of your portfolio are recruiters and hiring managers, and hiring managers are also designers. But yeah, this is your main target audience, and you need to understand a little bit about them to see how you can best craft your portfolio, which is best aligned with your users. So let's look at the recruiter persona. We need to understand that portfolio reviews are just one part of their job. There's so many other day-to-day responsibilities that they do, and this is just one part. So they're not spending a lot of time on it. Probably they assign maybe 1 to 2 hours of their whole day to do this job. So that's one thing. Second, they review a lot of applications and portfolios at a time. So they'll sit, and this is something I have kind of learned from one of the recruiter events, but they sit and review several applications at a time. So naturally, you are one of maybe 10, 20 portfolios. And so because there's so many portfolios and so little time, they will not spend a lot reading your portfolio. So maximum 3 minutes on one portfolio, I guess. And so again, the fourth point is because so little time is spent on each portfolio, they'll generally skim through your case study. They will not read each and every sentence. So it's reading very roughly overall, like you probably do your like long papers. Um, so, what are the insights and opportunities that we can derive from this? First, insight is recruiters don't have a lot of time to spend on each portfolio. So, the design opportunity that can emerge here is how might we make it easier for the recruiters to skim through the portfolio and give them what they need to make a decision. So, the opportunity here is if they're skimming through their portfolio, through your portfolio, how do you make certain things pop out and stand out that can help recruiters make a decision on whether your application should be moved to the hiring manager or not. Second thing is because they spend very little time on each portfolio, first impressions and delightful experiences will matter. Because if they are looking at 20 portfolios at a time, if they see something which is different and unique, they'll probably remember it and they'll be more likely to spend a little bit more time on it as well. So the design opportunity again here is how might we make the portfolio stand out and create a long lasting impression on the recruiter. So we'll discuss how we can address some of these design opportunities in a bit. But so in general, what are the recruiters and hiring managers looking for? One, your personality and cultural fit. And this kind of ties back to the brand, your brand that I talked about while you create a portfolio. They also look at the quality of your design. Actually, if you're going to be a UX designer, they look at the quality and the overall experience that they get by interacting with your portfolio, navigating through different pages in your portfolio, looking at the deliverables that you've put on the portfolio. And finally, I guess one of the most important things is your design process and how you do storytelling. How easy is it to understand what you're talking about? Communication is one of the biggest skills that you need as a designer. Probably all of you already know, but a day to day involves a lot of communication with a lot of stakeholders. So being able to do good storytelling is a part of showing your potential as a designer. So let's go into the third section. I guess I'm talking too fast, so I'll give a pause right here if anybody has any questions or any comments.
I would just like to I just put it in the chat box, but I cannot agree with you more when it comes to like the importance of storytelling and the ability to tell your case study the way or you have done it, and like communicating that effectively in a way that the hiring managers sees some sort of potential in you, or like some sort of fit in you in terms of the role that they're hiring for. So like, yeah, that is definitely the most important thing as well. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I think if recruiters or hiring managers only have a little time to review the portfolio, and however, if I have many projects, can I just like do 1 to 2 projects very detailed and care the quality, and the other project just like do it in an easy way?
Yes, I think it is important to focus more on 2 projects that you put on the very top, to be like very thorough and very well worked out. That is not to say that the other one should not be uh, worked on that much at all. It should be, it should still communicate the quality of work, but still, like, I guess you can focus a little bit more on the first 2 if you are short of time or don't have a lot of time to give it. But I guess overall it's really important to only put projects that you're very proud of, and you know that you've done good work on.
Oh, okay, thank you so much.
Sure. And I think Yating also had a question. How to show personalities besides showing hobbies? I guess I'll cover that a little bit in the further slides. But there are a lot of ways you can show your personalities. You can talk about your interests, or you can talk about the different experiences and backgrounds. Maybe you're a finance background. You can talk about how that differentiates you. You can add things in your about section that can call out from certain things from your personal life, like maybe I guess if you've done some reading or some writing, you can show a lot of different things depending on like what you've done in the past and what your experience have been so far.
Sonal, you want to go ahead and ask the question?
Yeah. Hi, Parumeta and Sejal. So I have this question. So for those who haven't worked in the industry before and are now applying for internship roles, how do we decide whether we should apply for a UX designer or UX researcher, or if there is any other role that we might like more? I understand that it's about what you want to do, but I feel like there's a need to interact more with the people in the practice to decide like which role those who are applying for internship want to go for. So if you could elaborate more upon deciding the role and how to do that.
Yeah, sure. Good question. Really good question. And I guess that is also something I struggled with initially. So, as you said, it is really important to speak with people who are already in the industry, have experience, maybe are experienced researchers or experienced designers, to ask what it is like to be a researcher or a designer, what's their day to day, what kind of responsibilities they do, and what kind of work they do, and kind of try to see yourself in that position and decide or think about if that is something that aligns with your interests. Another thing that is helpful is taking a variety of electives or courses. I personally was able to take graphic design and understand some of the design focused things. I was able to learn a lot more about research through the research courses. So, taking those different courses and trying to kind of maybe do a project based on those areas can help you also determine what kind of work you really enjoy. There are a lot of projects in HCI. So even when you're working in a team, what certain part of the project you enjoy the most could help you figure out what role you might want to pursue. And finally, I think it's okay to just experiment. My internship was a research internship, and right now I'm in a design role. By doing that research internship, I was able to understand what it's like being a researcher, what are my day to day responsibilities. And I was able to figure out, okay, maybe design is a little bit better fit for me, just by experiencing that role and doing a lot of the things that a researcher or a designer does. So, yeah.
Just to continue upon that, two more queries. One, if you could tell us a little bit more about the role of product strategist, and if around if I'm not sure if for internship students can apply for roles like that, but I'm not very sure. So if you could tell us about product strategist, and okay, I forgot my second question. Sorry.
That is a
Yeah.
really good question, Sonal, and I would be really happy to elaborate on that. But let's do that maybe at the end of the session, because we are talking about portfolios right now, and anybody is also you're welcome to even book mentorship sessions on ADP list. I am on ADP list as well, so we can really talk in detail if you want that as well. But yeah, Sonal, definitely we can talk about this at the end of the session, if
Sure.
that's okay.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on, and I'll definitely keep some time at the end for more questions. Okay, so first thing we would talk about is personality and brand. It is really important to communicate your unique personality, maybe through your background, your experiences, your interests, or whatever that might be. And one example here that I have is a portfolio by Rachel Lee, who is a design student as well. And she has a really colorful rainbow kind of first fold or homepage. And she addresses herself in third person and says that she's a product designer and illustrator. Now, she reinforces that she's an illustrator by having this really nice illustration at the front and center of her portfolio, which kind of distinguishes her and makes this a little bit more unique. Because one, she's giving proof that she's an illustrator by this really beautiful illustration, and it helps her stand out a little bit more. She also talks a little bit about her past work experiences just to add that credibility. Creating a consistent brand through resume design is also important. So try to make sure that the style, the visual design that you are using for your portfolio also translates in your resume, maybe through colors and the typography that you're choosing, stuff like that. LinkedIn is also really important to stay to keep updated. I think social media team has or conducts a lot of LinkedIn branding events, so that's another topic for another event. But yeah, and third thing is getting creative and personal in the about section. So I'll show you an example of Tushar, who is a product designer at Microsoft. This is his about page. So see how he talks very personal things about how what it is like to be him outside work. He talks about how he's a travel junkie, he's a cook, talks about speaking experiences, things that have been posted in the press about him. So there's a lot of things that he's added to his about page, which makes him a little bit different and shows his personality a little bit. Even the kind of conversational tone that he has um, in his titles helps with building that personality and communicating a more friendly feeling. Next is design quality. Again, this is a really important aspect, probably common, but it's very important to keep high quality assets, images, and videos in your portfolio. Again, this is to communicate how good of a designer you might be and how your designs are high quality. This example here by Chris is basically all of his mock-ups. He's used really nice like clay models of the iPhone, and then he has really clear designs, very easy to see and read, and has good visual design on it. Which brings me to the second point of consistent visual design for both your portfolio and project designs. So that means that it's not only the deliverables that you have in a project, which are like app or website designs, but also the entire portfolio itself. Think about how you are creating the layout, how you are thinking about the hierarchy. So thinking about how you are setting your type, what kind of typography you're using, not using more than two different typefaces, thinking about the grids and spacing, how you're making the spacing between each paragraph and a heading and a paragraph consistent, and keeping it the same throughout your portfolio, which just brings in that consistency and high quality work. And then also iconography is really important. So making sure using the same style of icons across the portfolio, not like one page has filled icons and the other page has outlined icons, for example. And finally, the third thing is try to go above and beyond. Try to add that delight that we talked about, maybe through micro interactions, which is a really crisp and clever way to do so. So I have another example. This is by Shikhar, who's also one of my classmates, HCID alum. So as you'll see, he has really nice um, interaction elements. So when you hover, there's this interaction with your call to action. There is other kind of like micro interactions here, and it's overall the small details that make up the portfolio and helps you stand out. So yeah, that's also one thing to keep in mind. Then finally coming to the design process and storytelling. So this is by far really important aspect of writing your case studies in specific. It's important to start with a good overview and set the context and the ground running. So you should have a good overview of your role, the timelines, the team members you worked with, and team members should include the basic roles of your team members. So maybe there was an engineer, a product manager, mention that if you have worked with them. Really briefly talk about the problem statement and the solution. This is again to set that context in case recruiters don't have a lot of time to spend. They can just look at this summary section and at least get a gist of what the product project is really about. Again, always think back to recruiters don't have a lot of time. How do I make it simpler and easier for them to read the things I want them to read? And then another thing to keep in mind is everything that you have on your case study and your portfolio should have a purpose. Don't show everything just because you did them or just because they were a part of the deliverable. Think about how they add value to the story that you're telling. If they are not adding value, they probably might be worth skipping. Also, make sure you're not adding everything just as a chronological order of how you actually did things. It's okay to change things a little bit and reorder certain things so that they fit the story, because the end goal is for the reader to be engaged in your story, and that's something that is the main goal of writing that case study, in addition to your showing your design process. Um, then third point is making it easier to read. Again, because recruiters don't have a lot of time, giving a good balance of images and text would help them get context really fast. We're all really visual human beings, so that really helps. And also using descriptive headings. So adding a little additional context in the headings, because those are the ones that pop out the most and are more easily readable, will help telling that story even easier. So again, this is an example from Fatima's portfolio, who was also web design intern. You'll see that she has used really nice icons here in addition to the text that she has. The text itself is not too much. It's just 1-2 sentences at the max to convey what she's saying. And the main chunk of information is easy to come from the headings itself. So she talks about how she adds navigation to the AR world, and then she has a really nice storytelling like section here that says we needed a digital duct tape to hide the real world blemishes. Now it's just the little things that even language can help kind of curate your story and kind of communicate what you're talking about. Another really great example by Aditi, who is also an alumni here. I refer to this visual a lot. I guess she was one of the first ones who came up with this, and I really like how easy it is to read. She communicates pain points and design opportunities. Not a lot of text, but just the way she has presented it and laid it out. It's so easy to just read, okay, this is the pain point because it's red, it has this icon, this is the opportunity. It's really easy to connect the dots. And then again, telling a story. So telling a story is all about having a protagonist, going through the ups and downs, the critiques that you encountered, the iterations that you did, the challenges that you faced, what were the breakthroughs, how did you iterate, what were the results. All of that should be a part of the story, and it should go in like ups and downs. So again, this is an example which I wanted to show because it has been really helpful for me during interviews. So I start my case study here with some of my assumptions. I talk about how what we thought the problem was, and I just attached one simple social media meme to communicate my point, and it has always brought a smile on interviewers because they can relate. So add relatable things, easier to understand, easier to read. Images are really helpful and a powerful way to do that. Another really good example here is again Fatima's portfolio. She wanted, she talks about how she realized that the design direction that they were taking was not exactly aligned with the research data that she got. So she acknowledges that this was something that was wrong and they were not in the right direction, and she decided to trust the data rather than going for a direction which seemed more exciting in terms of designing. So she says we wanted to design for a watch, but it was time to trust the data. So these are small elements that add to the story and help curate the story, and communicates how you as a designer are flexible to change. You're open to um, listening to the data and not get stuck on your initial ideas. Okay, that brings me to the end of the important things I wanted to cover. I These are the two portfolios we have that we selected from the list at random that I will review. But before that, Sejal, do we want to take more questions first, or how do we want to go about this?
I think let's keep questions for the last. So, like, I believe like you would be answering a lot of questions while reviewing the portfolio, so we can keep the questions for last.
Sounds good. Okay. Okay, let's go. So the first one is Constance's portfolio. I hope everybody can see it. Okay. 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 So let's start. I will go a little bit deeper in case studies, but before that, I will look at the overall portfolio, the design, the experience, the about section, stuff like that, and then we'll go into one of the case studies and do a little bit deeper dive there. So right off the bat, I think it visually this color is like really nice and it jumps to you, which is good. And then when I look at your description, or maybe like the first fold writing, I feel like there is little context and there is an opportunity to add to this a little bit more, both in terms of what you write here and also in terms of if you can add some more visual or some illustration or something that communicates a little bit more of your personality. You can get really creative here. This is the first fold. This is the first thing that recruiters, hiring manager are going to see. So there's a lot of opportunity to explore. Again, I like how you have things about yourself that you enjoy doing and you talk about yourself. But to keep in mind how fast recruiters might go through your website, is it worth having this animation here? Because it does take a little bit more time for me to wait and see what's the next thing coming up. So that's one thing to consider. Um, then we come to the second fold, which is your experience. Again, it is nice to convey some of your top design experiences. But my question here would be, if the main user or the reader is a hiring manager or a recruiter, would they have already seen your resume? Would this be repetitive content for them? And do you think it should come before your selected work, or should it come after that? So again, thinking about very purposefully where you should place certain information and whether it is worth putting it here is really important. um, Moving on, you have your cards, project cards. Again, pretty standard way to show this, which is really good. I would almost say that zoom into your designs a little bit more so that I get an idea of the actual designs just by looking at the project cards. I really like that you have additional context and description here to go with the cards, which again helps me identify what project I might want to pick. Generally, first project is considered to be the one that you're most proud of and probably has the most amount of details. So they might probably just end up clicking the first one, but it's still really helpful. um the second thing I would say is avoid using acronyms. Recruiters might not be domain experts in the project that you have done. So I might not know what SLAM algorithms means or what ERP system means. So keep that in mind, that you keep everything very, very simple and straightforward and easy to understand. Again, really like the additional exploration section. Again, this brings in a little bit more of your personality and also adds in the additional experiences that you've had, um, which is a really good thing. And then finally, we have this section, which is called fun. Again, this is a really adventurous picture, and I feel like doing this right now, but um I would think, like, I feel like something is missing here. I'm not able to get full context of why this is here, what is the purpose of it here. And I think maybe it probably might be a good idea to combine this with the about section to communicate a little bit about yourself and the things you enjoy doing. Which brings me to the about section. So let's go there. Um, by the way, Constance, if you're here, please feel free to, hop off. And if you have any other things you want to point out or get clarification on, and we could also do that later on. So the about picture, again, really nice picture, front and center, and then a little bit about yourself. Um, I have gotten feedback in the past to make sure that you're completely, like, you don't have like sunglasses on and stuff, just so that everybody can see you entirely who you are, and communicate a little bit more about the personality. But that's too much nitpicking maybe. So that's just one thing I have heard from other people. I don't know if that's really important or not. But yeah, I like that you have some stuff about yourself. I would definitely think about the quality thing that I pointed out here. So alignment of these elements. If these are center aligned and this is left aligned, it is causing a little bit inconsistency. So definitely try to bring a more consistent hierarchy and text alignment here. Um, Second thing I guess you can do to make this text a little bit more readable is making the width of the sentences itself a little shorter. Generally, it's easier to read sentences which are shorter in width. That's just one additional like design tip I read somewhere which could be helpful. Okay, now I'll go into the projects. Um, so this one is called eye staging. I believe this is so based on, I've already seen this before, so I'll just give a context to everybody else. So this project is basically for like real estate people and people who are looking for homes, and they are providing a VR experience through this application. Um, I might not be completely accurate on this, but basically, this is an app used by companies like Redfin, and they provide a more immersive experience while you are virtually going through maybe a house and looking at like different kinds of real estates. So with that, let's look at it a little bit in detail. So the overview talks a little bit more about the company itself, and then it goes into talking about VR Maker. This made me a little bit confused because there are two different companies here, and I'm not sure if you are working with one of them or like what's the connection between these two and why is this relevant here. So I guess making maybe rephrasing it to kind of talk about how you use this technology to help solve a problem that the real estate stakeholders had been facing would be helpful here. I really like that you have mentioned the roles of your different team members. Again, this is really helpful to help me understand that you worked with cross-functional teams before, and that is a really important part of your job as a UX designer. So I really like that as well. Then we have a few pictures. Again, I feel like they lack a little context. I'm not exactly sure what you are trying to communicate here. So maybe adding some description or some additional sentences about it would could be helpful. And then we have the problem statement. Home buyers, tenants, and real estate agents spend too much time and resources on physical tours of their prospective homes, which is, I think, it's a nice opening statement. You have also mentioned specific problem for home buyers, which is one part of the stakeholders, and real estate agents, which is the second part of the stakeholders. Again, when I read through the sentence itself, both of them talk a little bit more about how there's a lot of time and effort involved in this process. And even though that is a valid point, I would think a little bit more deeper into what is the specific problems of these two stakeholders. What are some of the unique problems that you observed through your research that might need help through your designs? And then the goal section talks about how you want to decrease the time spent on physical tours by 30%, increase the subscription by 40%. And these metrics and numbers, I'm kind of like confused or lack a little bit context on why or how did you achieve these numbers, how did you get to these numbers, and why they are important. So probably maybe adding some more context before talking about these numbers can be helpful. Also, I think there is an opportunity here to make the text a little bit more concise and maybe add some visual to go along with it. Your role section, again, I feel like it is okay to combine this in the overview section at the top just to save some space and reading time of the recruiters. Again, these are all like my personal opinions and experiences, so it's not like everything I'm saying is 100% right. Obviously, you all have your own rationales and opinions, which I really respect. And this is just my additional feedback that I'm giving. So, and then we have the how might we statement. Again, how might we help agents create easy to use and high quality virtual tours? Again, I feel like this how might we statement can get a little bit more specific. Again, it obviously you have to make your experiences easy to use, but what exactly can you make easy to use? Go a little bit more specific. Ask those questions like the why question 5 times to do that exercise to really get deeper into what exactly are we solving, what exactly is the problem. And then again, it is really helpful for you to have the video or the gifs to get a little bit better understanding of your design and your interactions that you've built. So again, I really like this section. um, then let's go to the design process. Okay, so I feel like it took me a lot of time and a lot of reading to actually go into the design process. So again, think about how you can combine this and put this as a story, and make that overview section or the summary section a little bit shorter. Um, and then having these personas as maybe protagonists or maybe uh, as a storytelling deliverable or a storytelling method. So right now you have two two personas, but what are the insights that you got from these personas and how did it help you inform the design decisions, or how were they actually helpful in your design process? That is something I would want to know a little bit more into detail, and then connect it with what you talk about in the next section. So right now we jump directly to wireframes for the from the personas, and I feel like there is a little bit lack of context here. Again, I'm seeing a lot of wireframes, but what's the purpose of it, how it helped you, why they were important? Those things could be added here. Again, similarly, I would say for the information architecture as well, and the design guidelines as well. So if you can talk about why you chose this specific color, what kind of feelings that they help help you with and the users with, why you chose specific type. That all of that context is helpful to put in here. Um, I guess same goes for the usability tests as well. So I see a lot of numbers here, but again, it's a little bit difficult for me to understand what they mean and what were your key insights from these. So definitely add that in here and kind of communicate your key findings and how it helped inform the further iterations that you did. And this section here, I think this one is a really powerful sentence and section which talks about how your design were used by Redfin and that they won awards. And I would highlight this at the very top with your overview just to build that credibility, and even add this maybe a very short sentence on your homepage with the project card itself. Um, and then reflections and takeaways, again, always really important to add reflections and takeaways just to communicate how you can learn from a project and kind of think about next steps. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have for you, Constance. Um,
Yeah, hello, I'm Constance. Yeah, that is so helpful. I learned a lot of insights from your review.
okay, great. I'm so glad.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, sure. Okay, Sejal, we are almost at time, like we're 8 minutes
Mhm.
away. So do we want to do another portfolio or do we want to take questions? And what does the audience want?
So yeah, I guess let us know in the chat box if y'all want us to go through another case study, or do y'all want to. Okay, yeah, Ping says portfolio. So maybe you can quickly go over the portfolio and we can extend the event by like 10 minutes to answer questions.
Okay, yeah, if that's okay with everybody, that works for me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
hi,
portfolio.
Sorry, but I think there's some issue with my portfolio website. It's not opening. So I think you have it loaded from previous to. So like if you try to open something, I think it won't go ahead. Can you refresh it once?
Yeah.
It's down, right? Yeah. Just afraid of
Okay.
that. It's just like the front page is there.
Do you want to go ahead and open the other portfolio that we had shortlisted?
Yeah, I think I need to find the link.
Should I send you the link?
Yeah, that'll be helpful.
Okay, just dropping it in the chat box.
Okay, got it. So this one I have not read through before, so it might be a more of a on the spot reading, but I'll try. So this is Kshitij's portfolio. First fold, let's see. I'm Kshitij, UX designer, passionate about creating wonderful digital experiences by empathizing with the users. Currently designing experiences at CS. Again, I think it's a good introduction, but there is still an opportunity to customize it a little bit more, add something extra, maybe your specific interests or hobby or what uniqueness brings you as a UX designer. Maybe even make this section a little bit bigger. It's okay to, I guess personally, it's okay to have a little bit more space dedicated to like a welcome. I'm Parumeta. I am a designer, and who I am really communicating that can be helpful. Um, it's good that he has your company name and where you were previously, again, to add that credibility. These quick links are also really helpful. LinkedIn is, again, almost every recruiter checks LinkedIn. So it's really good to have that and the resume as well. Navigation elements about me and resume again. I think they're really helpful. So pretty good there. And then we have the project cards. So this one is an internship, creating a platform for users to organize and volunteer social services, develop leadership qualities, and create their own stories. I really like this description. I think it's very specific and talks about how he has helped ISKCON create this platform and what exactly users can do through this platform. So I think this is a good example of the description and a really clear call to action to go to that case study. Again, a little elements to communicate your personal touch. Don't be shy, say hi. Again, just language things that can make the difference, I think. And then again, the footer has those quick links which are easy to navigate to. So let's go to the about me section. Again, he has a picture of himself and then he talks a little bit about his background and past experiences. He talks about how he has worked in the industry for 2 years, again, helpful to build credibility. And then he talks about internships and projects that has made him a perfect fit into environment of people coming from different skill sets. Okay, so basically he talks about the diverse experiences that can help him understand different kind of users. And then he talks a little bit about what he likes to do in his free time. I think it's pretty standard. It's good. Again, there is an opportunity to make this a little bit more concise as you see.
उसमें भिंडी रखी हुई है इसमें अच्छी बनी है भिंडी अरे
Okay, so where was I forgot. These quick links, again, I don't think if they are that relevant here, but again, personal preference, which is okay. And then this section here is a bunch of images. Again, this could help with a little bit more context. Is he a photographer? Is he an illustrator? What exactly is this? Is this his work? What is this? So I would like some more context here, I guess. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much about the about section. Let's go to one of the case studies really quickly. Okay. Yeah, so it's a really nice first fold. He has three different screens that kind of show his design, which is easy for context, but the quality of his designs. He has really big bolded heading or an overview of, again, his description, or a short description about the project, which is good. Then he talks about his role. He led effort to categorize content and build information architecture. Yeah, I think this can be made a little bit more concise. You can just have it in this format where you have like just some pointers to save on like reading time. Then he has the duration, team, mm, client, that's pretty good. Then he has this section which is in a different color. So again, my eyes and attention is instantly drawn to it. Talks about how might we encourage organizing and volunteering for social service activities on an individual level. Um, so again, I feel like this could be a little bit more specific. Does it mean that you can individually participate in volunteering, or like what exactly does volunteering on an individual level mean? um, and then he has a description here, so let's read through that. um, India has a growing population of 1.2 billion and a lot of NGOs working for various causes. In spite of these figures, only 1.5% of India's population volunteers. So, interest people. Okay, so this is talking about a different problem which says that there's so many NGOs and people are confused which NGO do they like or support, which cause do they want to volunteer for. And the leader inside the potential volunteer rarely gets to see the light of the day. Again, a nice storytelling element, but I feel like it is important to add this in the main heading to be more specific, just in case the recruiter misses to read this paragraph. Again, I really like how he has summarized the design challenge, the solution, the actual design before diving into the process more. So he talks about the solution. He has different, again, videos of his uh, design, which is good. Browse to various social service activities. Again, these headings are helpful to give me an idea of what the feature is about. Um, you can volunteer for social service activities created by other users. Um, okay. And then, yeah, similar, another screen and design for it. Then it goes into objectives of the app, building a community, creating a DIY platform, and leader influencers. Um, I feel like this is, um, I could have a little bit extra um, context and information about the problem itself or the key insights itself before directly jumping to the objectives of the app, just so that it doesn't look too prescriptive. You definitely need to build that connection between the insights and the design opportunities. So I feel like Kshitij can definitely add a little bit more about the research that he did. Then he goes into the design user personas. The target audience was set on youth. Again, my question is why? Why was youth the target audience? And maybe you can tell that in your case study through a more like a storytelling perspective. Drawing from our own lifestyle and experiences, I defined user personas. Um, Again, I think if you are the only data point, probably helpful to maybe talk to a couple of more people. If you are not, you don't find time to do it, maybe not mention it here, like that you were the only data point, just so that you don't lose out on credibility. um, then we have the personas, which has the goals and frustrations, which is nice, like as a deliverable. But I would like to see, okay, from these two personas, again, three main points to communicate the story. What is the main insight that you have that helped you land on the next step? Here again, it feels more like different deliverables rather than a part of the story. So now from the persona, he goes into the journey mapping. Again, it can be helpful to add more descriptive titles here, to say, okay, maybe from the persona we had an insight, and then that insight helped us look at the journey of this specific user. um, and then we have uh, a really elaborate visual for the journey map. Again, 90% of the time people are not reading it, so again, have it in a more a condensed form. And then finally, I think this is a pattern here that I'm seeing, that the titles can be more descriptive and you can follow more of a storytelling format here. Not just have deliverables in chronological order, but again, linking them together. Um, I'm going to be a little bit quicker now. So wireframing, again, explored concepts and turn them into medium fidelity. But then what exactly did you learn from these that helped you in medium fidelity? That's my question. Um, and then branding and visual design, naming the app. Again, I don't think it needs so much additional context on just the name of the app, but it's nice to have this visual showing that you spent a lot of time on it. Mood board is also helpful. I think this is really nice that they have different kind of words that are associated with different images. I can design really a lot of time spent here, which is good, especially if you are more of a like design focused and a visual design focused designer as well. Design system is also a good thing to add. Again, elaborate on why these specific colors would be helpful. Then a lot of other components, which is nice, but I don't know if it needs to have so many components. Again, you have to have a balance. It doesn't need to be, your case study doesn't have to be this long. So you can cut down on some of the design system elements. And then there is reflection. Okay, cool. Yeah, so he has two iterations and the reflections on it. I am not sure if I saw the iterations within this case study, like how he iterated and what kind of insights he had from the first version. So I would definitely think about how you could incorporate in your main case study rather than just in the reflections. So with that was fast, but or slow, I don't know, it depends. But with that, I guess you must ask questions. Otherwise, have a spooky night, y'all.
I
But yeah,
think we can take some quick questions. Anybody who had submitted some questions in the registration form, if you all want to go ahead and ask them coming off mute, that would be great. Otherwise, we can ask some of the questions that came within the presentation. Go ahead, Yati.
I have a question about showing personalities, because back in my country, we don't care that much. I mean, the recruiters don't care that much about applicants' personalities, but here is very different. And I noticed that you put personality on the as the first point. So is it really important? Even sometimes people care your personalities, or if you fit the team or not, more than your design?
Um, so the order, I wouldn't take it very seriously. I put that first because I wanted to get it out of the way and spend more time on storytelling. But I guess I have personally found it helpful to have some sort of like personality to your portfolio. Again, I think I would connect it to how a recruiter might look at you or your portfolio and decide if you could be a good cultural fit. And maybe if a hiring manager looks at your portfolio and sees that you like playing the guitar and your hiring manager also likes playing the guitar, it kind of helps build or have that connection point with you. So I guess that's the purpose behind having those personal elements and some personality to your portfolio. But at the end of the day, again, it is your decision, and um, your it's up to you if you want to do that or not. But that's something that adds a little bit to portfolio to help stand out maybe a little bit.
Okay, get it. Thank you.
We have a question in the chat box.
So opinion on developing two versions of each case study, one extremely short and scannable, one with all the details. So I've seen a couple of ways that's been done by different people. One is where they have expandable and collapsible sections. So I think Piyush, who was one of my senior, who had done this in his portfolio, where he had the case study laid out in a format where there were scannable sections in the case study, but if anybody wanted to read more, they could click on that arrow and expand more and read more. So yeah, that's a really great way to kind of make your case study more scannable. Second thing that I have done is I add a deck attached to my case study, which goes into detail about all the different things that I have done in addition to the case study I have on the portfolio, to have those two different versions, because it's always easier to present a deck to the interviewer, and I just attached it in case anybody wants to see it even before the interview. But yeah, those are the two things I've noticed that you can try. But having two separate web pages, I don't think that that might be helpful.
There's another question, if you want to read that.
Do we have to use the terms how might we or design process? Oh wait, I skipped one, sorry. Any suggestions for those who don't have industry academic projects and are building passion projects for their portfolio? I think industry projects are good to have, but you can still communicate your skills and your design process through passion projects. If it is possible, maybe reach out to a few people who you can team up with, who are as interested as you in that project, because it really helps to kind of get that different perspective with the team members that you're collaborating with. And then when you talk about those experiences in interviews, it really helps, because once you are through your portfolio round, or maybe even before that, there will be a lot of behavioral questions that will be asked in interviews that can focus on collaboration, and they will focus on collaboration. So thinking about different experiences or the things you did in a project that you can connect to in terms of collaboration can be really helpful. So it's okay to do passion projects and put those. Obviously it also shows that you are self driven, so it is a nice thing to add on your portfolio, but maybe try to work on it in a team, which could add like have additional benefit. um The next question we have is, do we have to use the terms, how might we, our design process? Also, do we absolutely have to show all personas and wireframes? No, you don't have to use these terms, how might we and design process. I personally don't have design process written on my case studies. I just talk about it as a story rather than saying, okay, this was the first step of iteration, research, then iteration, then prototyping, and then again iteration. That visual, I think, I don't know if it has helped. Again, personal opinion, but yeah, you don't have to use it. How might we statements are helpful because it is a design activity that you generally do. So it could be helpful for readers to know, okay, you know how to write how might we statements, and they are a good way to concisely communicate the problem and the solution that you might want to address for the user. um, and then, do we absolutely have to show all personas and wireframes? No, you do not have to show all personas and wireframes. Again, think what would be the most relevant to the story and how it would help communicate it, and use those deliverables in context to that story. So everything should have a purpose there, and you don't have to include everything you did.
I guess let's take a last question. Lillian had a question while you were presenting, so she can go ahead and ask that question.
Thank you so much. I'd like to ask, do we need to design our website for an app site? For instance, for mobile site, because for now my website is not suitable or fit my mobile.
That's a great question. And I think to start off with, it is okay to first focus on web. But personally, I think having a responsive website again adds to that design quality that I talked about. Especially when you look at like bigger companies. I think there was one LinkedIn post that I read. Maybe it was from Microsoft, but they spoke about how they first open their portfolio on the mobile and see if it is responsive, and that was something I was really surprised by, because I don't generally focus a lot on mobile, but when you think of it, all of us have mobile phones that we use the most. So if a recruiter is on the run and maybe not at their desk and they still want to do some of their work of reviewing portfolios, they might end up opening your portfolio on a mobile device. So I guess it's valuable to do it if you have the time. Definitely try to make it responsive, but it's okay to start first with web.
Another quick question is that if my application is rejected in a few days, does it mean my resume was rejected by the system, or like my website is rejected by HR or like designers?
That's a question that I wish I knew the answer to. I am not sure how it happens, if your your portfolio has actually reached the recruiter or has it been rejected by the ATS. But yeah, it's really hard to answer that question honestly. So I don't know,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
I am so sorry, everyone, but like that is all the time we have today. So just hang on for a minute. We have a couple of announcements to make. So first of all, I'd like to thank Parumeta to like take the time out and come here and like review portfolios and answering all the questions everybody had related to that. And I hope you all learned something like with respect to portfolios and case studies. We have also dropped a link to the feedback form. It would really mean a lot to us if y'all could give us feedback on how you like the event or what kind of events would y'all like to see in the future. So dropping a link to that in the chat box. And other than that, we have an event coming up next Friday. It's a event on portfolio presentation. So basically how to go about making a portfolio presentation once your portfolio website is done. So Simran Matre will be conducting that. She's an incoming product design intern at Facebook. So go ahead and register for that if you're interested, and looking forward to seeing everyone here. Dropping a link to the portfolio presentations event. So yeah, and please go ahead and give us feedback. It would really mean a lot to us. And thank you so much for coming.
Yep. Thank you, everyone. And yeah, definitely leave feedback. That'll be helpful for me too. Okay, bye. Have a great evening.